Right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Steelport Factory and our this month's chef demo. Thank you for coming in. Let me take care of a couple of logistics before I get into today's demo. Again, this is a part of our monthly chef knife skills demos. Every month, last Saturday of every month from 11 to 12, we have one of our great local chefs that join us here like today. And then once a quarter, for those who keep track of the events, we also close the parking lot here and have an event with about 12 to 15 other brands coming in. So like our Q1 was the sourdough day. We had 7 local bakers coming here and baking, and with 400 people visiting. The Q2 was just a few weeks ago, pre-Father's Day event, and then Q3 is National Knife Day, which we have 7 or 8 local knife company outdoors companies like Letterman, Kershaw, Benchmade. We'll have tents out there and going through that. And Q4 we have another 15 coming in pre-Thanksgiving. So it's our opportunity to bring community together and share a little bit of our factory, since we have a factory space here to go through that. So for people who are in the room right now, after the demo and stuff, if you have any questions, please let one of us that have a Steelport know, and we can go ahead and answer the questions. And if you have the time, Nate from our production, which is also does sharpening, will do answer questions, especially around honing rods. How do you use the honing rods, and going through that. That's a common question we get. So that takes care of the logistics here. It's my pleasure today to introduce and be joined by Chef Isaiah. He's actually one of our first chefs out of Portland. We have a lot of people come from Portland, but we're excited to have a chef that's actually has a restaurant in Eugene. A lot of you might already know of the Chef Isaiah. He grew up in New York City, moved to Bay Area, trained under some famous great chefs, and about 10 years ago followed one of the mentors and other great chefs back to come to Oregon and get into area of Eugene, and has developed a great restaurant down there. As far as I know, I'm sure you have other stuff, but one of the few restaurants and chefs that's really focused around Afro-Caribbean dishes. But again, being in Oregon and being like Chef Isaiah that you get to meet, you have to add your creativity. So how do you make those food with local ingredients? Going through that. So with that, I turn it over to Chef.
Yeah.
Chef Isaiah.
Thanks, guys, for interest. Yeah, great job introducing me too. Yeah. I'm here now, and I think when I first came here, I didn't love it, and now I love it. And I'm talking about Oregon in general, but for me, it was like the ingredients is kind of like the part that kept me here. I think 2 full seasons of working and cooking in Oregon, I'm like, okay, there's some really beautiful ingredients. So I would like to say that our food, I always tell people that our food is really good, but it's hard to say that it's authentic, because Caribbean food in the Caribbean is authentic. If you're in Italy, Italian food in Italy is authentic. Importing all the ingredients, you can try to get close to authenticity, but like a lot of it is driven by the ingredients. So if you're cooking, you can cook really good Italian food in Oregon, because we grow beautiful things in Oregon and California as well. And so our food is like Caribbean-ish, is what I tell people in person, but behind closed doors, we tell people we're an authentic Caribbean restaurant. So today we're gonna make salt cod salad, which I think is probably something most people haven't had before. The origins are slavery, kind of, when it comes to the introduction to people of color. It was a subsidy to move people from point A to point B in a really inexpensive way. Ironically, now this is cost about $18 a pound. So it's like extremely expensive, and it went from being like slave food to like baller. And it's literally just salted white fish. At the restaurant, we make a really simple salad called boujol, which is it's tomato, cucumber, and marinated salted cod. it took a while. I think people started ordering this after we started getting some really positive recognition, which I'm grateful for. But before that, my only customers that would get it were people from the Caribbean. This is probably the dish in the Caribbean that is my favorite dish. It's really corny to say, like, people say, like, ask chefs, like, what's your favorite dish, and we all have like our weird corny line. This is my favorite dish. My wife is from Jamaica. She's a naturalized citizen, and she makes this dish when we're fighting. So so yeah. So this is my favorite dish, and she knows that. So everything here, like except for the citrus, is from Oregon. So it's kind of cool because you get to see all these cool Oregon ingredients. Most of it is from Eugene. I don't think any of it is from Portland. So you get to kind of have a little taste of Eugene with like my style of cooking and with the ingredients. So that's kind of cool. Oh, minus the olive oil. This is Californian organic olive oil. Yeah, so this dish is very simple. You're not going to see me like try to show off and be Michelin because I'm not like that. I think our food is like very like precise, but I don't know how necessary it is for this dish specifically. So I highly encourage people to actually make this at home because it's really straightforward and it's really simple. There are some techniques that I would pay attention to because there is like right and wrong. Like, I don't want to lie to you guys and pretend there isn't right and wrong. There's right and wrong. But like, if you're paying attention, you'll see that there's just two simple steps. It's like you're essentially like stir frying some ingredients and then you're marrying it together and then you're serving it room temperature or cold. Traditionally, it's eaten with crackers or bread. We luckily got the last baguette next door, which is kind of awesome. So I'll get to show off this amazing bread knife that I just bought today. Super cool. And then yeah, and it's cool because at the restaurant we serve it like a little bit more composed. But today it'll just kind of be like a beautiful large format dish. So I'm gonna turn this thing on if I can remember how to do it. Boom, boom. All right, perfect. Yeah, yeah. So we'll start with cutting up some onions. Pretty sure there's a recipe for you guys here somewhere too. We'll start by cutting up some onions. I'm gonna just be very like rustic with it. I always tell people that like every like certain dishes require specific cuts. This dish again doesn't really require specific cuts. It just requires cutting the ingredients so that they cook evenly. So I'm just gonna cut it evenly, and I'm just gonna do kind of like a quick, like almost like a julienne.
So, sir, can you explain the big stories everybody has their own way of cutting it, onions, things like that?
I
Preferred way?
I prefer cutting it this way because I can cut it really fast. And like I always tell people, like when you're cooking at home, like if you're hungry, you're probably not going to do things in a way that's like you're going to be kind of like frantic. I do julienne pretty fast, so I defer to that when it comes to onions. Again, this dish is very rustic, but that's the fastest way that I cut an onion. So that's my choice, and it's very practical. It's not like I'm not like this is the best way. It's just like it's the way that I do it because I'm lazy. And again, I'm going to show you guys a little trick that you're probably going to make fun of me about, but I just take the tops off of these parsley and I just discard the bottoms. At the restaurant, we confit the bottoms in really beautiful olive oil, and we make an herb oil, and it's unfiltered, so you kind of get texture. But this is kind of how we do it. We'll chop up this beautiful organic parsley, and I'm just trying to cut it small. And like, I don't want my onions to get any color, so I have to kind of work fast. But yeah, I'm just gonna do a little mincy. Cool thing about this dish too is like as the season progresses, you can kind of like add different ingredients to it. That's our thing at the restaurant. We'll have like our standard menu, but it's very seasonal. So components will change throughout the season. We'll do this with pumpkin when that's in season. We'll do it with maybe like some cooked quince, and we kind of make it fun and weird. But I think my thought process is that I'm like thinking about how a Caribbean person would cook if they were trapped in Oregon and they didn't want to buy anything from the Caribbean, So, you know what I mean? So yeah, we're just gonna throw all that in there. Boom. Okay. And then yeah. Oh, Mix this up. Again, I don't really want this to get too much color, so I'm going to turn this down. It's kind of ripping. A lot of olive oil, which is good for you and delicious. Um, Hate to be that guy. Like, I hate to tell people like what kind of stuff they should have in their house. I'm not a big fan of canola oil. So we don't have canola oil in the restaurant, and I don't have canola oil in my house. Most of the oil that we use is either rice bran oil or olive oil. And we just buy organic, practically everything at the restaurant. Now we're going to cut up some peppers, and I'm going to put this right here. And we're just going to we're trying to avoid the membrane and the seeds. So we're just going to kind of come very close to the meat of the pepper and just kind of avoid the seeds and the membrane. Just not a fan of the flavor of either of those things. So yeah, we're just going to get rid of that. And then I don't want you to cook really that much, so I'm going to do that. Okay. And yeah, I'm going to avoid all that. People my cooks are kind of all silly little college kids that most of them I don't think even want to cook. So it's kind of I'm like, it's humbling because all the people I worked for were like, I'll find someone else if you don't want this job. And I think that part of the industry has kind of evolved where you just hire whatever. But they ask me why do you cut the seeds and the membrane out? I think when it comes to most foods, there's when it's necessary, refining is important. With peppers, not a big fan. Oh, this is cooking. I don't want that. All right. So with peppers, I think when it's spicy, the membrane and the seeds are delicious. When they're sweet peppers, I don't really like the way it tastes. I don't like the seeds in the membrane. If you want to do a project at home, you should try it. You should just try the seeds in the membrane of pepper. It has a flavor that I'm not much of a fan of, and it's all preference. I think one of my cooks, no offense to smokers, he's a smoker. And I think that it I don't think it ruins your palate, but I think it changes and it denatures your palate in a way where you have different preferences, you know. And my preference is clean. I want you to be able to taste everything separately, and then I want you to be able to taste everything together simultaneously. And I think that when you include the membrane and the seeds, you kind of you start to have a less refined pepper flavor. But to me, the epitome of pepper is those really not spicy, shitty hot sauces. That's the epitome of what pepper actually tastes like. It has this sweetness, this brininess, and if you season it with salt, it's salty. So it's sweet, salty, and then it's it's amazing. But if there's seed, it kind of takes away from what a pepper's trying to be. It's a distraction, you know. I don't know. I don't like the seeds and I don't like the membrane. That's as fancy as I'm gonna be today. It took me a long time too. I had to learn that from a chef in the Bay Area. Her name's Sarah Kiernan, and she's kind of the person that kind of showed me that seasonal Caribbean food could be a thing. She is now the private chef for Dave Chappelle. So she's just out in the middle of nowhere cooking for Dave, which is a pretty sick job, I guess. But yeah, we're gonna cut these peppers kind of small because again, it's all practical. You don't have to go home and cut these small. I'm just cutting it small because it looks like there's a handful of hungry people, and that's the fastest way to get it cooked. So, but yeah, that's the only reason why we're cutting it small. It's not I don't know, necessary. There are dishes like French onion soup and other very classic dishes where you have to cut things and follow the recipe. And I've done some demos in the past where I've collaborated with people and they're like, oh, you should tell people that they can do it what they have. I'm like, no. If you have to follow the recipe. If recipe calls for olive oil, don't use coconut oil, you know, so. But with this, again, this recipe is kind of cool because it's not you don't have to, you can kind of cut it however you want as long as you get the end result that you're looking for. So we're just going to throw all that in there. I'm going to take all these delicious pepper bits. Boom. We'll turn you back on. I've been using this my whole life. Yeah, so we'll do that. And we were talking about technique earlier, like this part of it is really just, this is essentially, I'm making like a weird like vinaigrette, like is how I would think about it. I know that when you see this, you're like, what is he talking about? That's not a vinaigrette, but you'll see it. It'll start to become more vinaigrette like really soon. We're gonna cut up some of these baby squash that my really good friend sells me. I'm the only one that gets to buy these because he's kind of a lazy farmer, and he doesn't want to do it for the market because there's a lot of people that might want it. But we're just gonna cut these like in the chunks so that our salad has some texture. I kind of like when squash is like, I don't know, has texture. I don't like when it's mushy. It's like a weird little Isaiah thing. But you can kind of, if you're like, I like when my squash is tender. You can cook it until it's tender. I think that it's just like yummy the way it is. So we'll throw some of that in here too. And then I'll throw some of these padrones in here, which are actually from Groundworks, which I know they sell a lot of stuff up here. And we're just going to cut these kind of diagonally. The seeds in the membrane for this are good. They're not terrible. But we're still going to try to avoid them for the sake of my sanity. And we'll just kind of do a little bias cut. Okay, and we'll throw that in there too. Boom. Yeah, today, I'm sorry guys, if you can't do spicy, I apologize. We do this at the restaurant as well. There are certain things where we don't accommodate. And I'm going to make this a little spicy, but it won't be like, you know, you go to a restaurant and I'm watching through the window to see how much pain you are in. Like, that is not the point. This is just for the sake of like, this is the sake of like this very traditional dish that I'm making. Like, I'm not trying to hurt anyone, I promise. We, like, when we first opened, we had like a lot of people bring their kids and their babies, and it was like an honor to feed a family. In my opinion, it's like really special to be able to feed someone's family. But we put chutney on our doubles and on our curries. We put chutney on all of our stuff. We make a bunch of chutneys in house, and one of them is a hot pepper chutney. And this little cute kid just like went for it, and it was like terrible. Like they were crying and screaming, and then the mom started being all sad because she bit into it and it was really hot for her, and it was like a little circus. So we started making ice cream in house. So so that was like our way of like fixing it all, was like, what if we just made ice cream? Like, what if we just made ice cream? Okay, this cutting board's really cool. So if you're trying to have like clean flavor, you can actually like both sides are you can use both sides. So it's got these sick little magnets on the bottom. So I'm just going to kind of switch it over just so that we can have the raw served ingredients that I'm going to serve raw kind of cleaner in flavor. So boom. And so we got our cucumber, our tomato. I would say too, this is like a good dish for if tomatoes are not perfect yet, because it kind of like masks the flavor a little bit, unfortunately. It's not like I don't know, doesn't make tomato taste like tomato that much. But yeah, we're cooking this just until the peppers and the squash get just a little bit there. Oh, and then we'll go over the harder part that I think most people won't just know off the top of their heads, salt cod. So I think very common in European culture and most cultures. American culture, I would say, is probably the only culture it's not common. Most American people, when they think of salt cod, it's probably like, you probably had like brandade or like some other European dish where they add potatoes and make fritters or something like that, which is like a common salt cod preparation I think most people are familiar with. But you want to like, when you get it, you either get it out of a freezer or you get it from a specialty market, Asian market, Whole Foods. They have salt cod. You have to ask for it. They might have different names for it. You want to rinse it twice in cold water, and then you want to boil it 2 or 3 times. The tails are very less salty, and this part is very salty. So when you're trying your salt cod, as you're cooking it, you want to try it and taste it. You're tasting for the thickest part of the salt cod, which is a trick I think that like it takes people making it bad, realizing like how to do it. Like you have to kind of ruin it a couple times to realize how to do it. You don't have to do that. You don't actually have to do that because I'm telling you what you should do. Just try the thickest part of the salt cod, not the tail. The tail will, the salt will get drawn out of the tail like instantly, but the meaty part of the salt cod will remain the salt. And the thing is, the trick with salt cod is you actually want it to be salty. You just don't want it to be painfully salty. And so, yeah, this is kind of like almost right where I want it to be. So what we'll do is we'll move it over here, and I'll just do the last little step. So the padrones were kind of spicy, but this is our house-made pepper sauce. I think in the recipe it says hot pepper. You should use hot pepper, and then in the recipe it also says to use garlic, but we make our own like mojo, which is essentially like garlic confit with rice vinegar and black pepper, and we just cook it down. Really what we're trying to do is like give it to people with that sweet garlic flavor. So when you're making this at home, you don't want to take the garlic, cut the top off, and smash it. You want to peel it gently and slice it so that it has a sweeter flavor. When you pound garlic, it makes it more pungent. And also, like, I don't know, if you want to beat up your garlic, I won't judge you for it. But we're gonna put a lot of garlic in there. But it's because the flavor is very gentle. It's not like it's cooked down, so a lot of the impurities are gone, and the flavor is a little bit more mellow and it's sweet. And then, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like well, submerged in oil, but like I always tell people, like same thing with when you're making stock. You don't want to like over cover what you're covering because then a lot of the flavor goes in like the liquid, and I want the garlic to still taste like garlic, so we just barely cover it, and then it like releases its moisture, and then we strain it and finally chop it. So, and then we're gonna add some of this very hot pepper, which I feel like this is like the amount I add to for people that I like, you know. So if you guys were getting on my nerves, I would have just threw the whole thing in there. I wouldn't even tell you what it is. I'd be like, this is a good sauce. Just be burning up. Yeah. And like already kind of has like a really like amazing flavor or amazing smell, amazing aroma. And like the vinaigrette part will be us adding all the citrus to it now. And then the last step, or almost the last step, is flaking the salt cod in and giving it one last cook. This dish is like such a cool, like, this is going to sound so corny, but this is like a Super Bowl dish in my opinion, because you can have like a giant bowl of salt cod and chips, and it's kind of like, I treat it kind of like guacamole in my opinion. It's like very much like chips and salsa kind of vibes. And it also is like somewhat preserved, so it's kind of weird because it's like you can just have it in your fridge for a while. Everybody's different. I have like autoimmune stuff, and I have like a very sensitive body, so I can't really eat things that are around for longer than 3 days. It's like a weird rule that my wife found out. So, but yeah, I mean, this is amazing. It's an amazing, delicious dish that's also super traditional, and you're learning it like proper. Like I'm not cutting corners and making it weird. I think the only ingredient that I'm missing to keep it extremely traditional is scallion and thyme. Those are the two ingredients that kind of like solidify it being like maximum authentic. I was running out of time, so I couldn't get thyme. And the scallions are just like, our scallions right now are just absurd. So I'm like not a fan of the scallions that were working with, so I just didn't use it. So let's see. Yeah, it's like acidic and it tastes yummy and it's a little texture, perfect. So now this will be the salt. I hope you guys noticed that I didn't add any salt. It was like on purpose because this is going to be the salt. Kind of like Italian dishes where they're like use olives and anchovies as the salt. Oh, I think I got distracted, but I wanted to say earlier, when you're cooking at home, if you're hungry, you should probably snack while you're cooking. It's like a nice trick. Like not snack on the food while you're cooking, because then there might not be any left, but like you should have a snack while you're cooking. It's a trick that I learned from a chef. When I was like a young cook, and like when I was 18 years old, I would eat like while I was cooking, And he's like, it's kind of a bad habit, because if you think about it, like, your palate is kind of like up and down while you're cooking, so your snack should be neutral, whatever you're snacking on. Like unsalted crackers, if you're eating salty crackers and then you're seasoning your food and then you're tasting it, then your salt level might be higher, and your wife or boyfriend or girlfriend might be kind of pissed. They're like, this shit's salty, bro, the fuck. But yeah, it just depends. So I'm just rustically kind of like flaking this. It's kind of how I like it. My wife is like this petite person that like shreds them into like tiny little bits, and that's kind of like more gangster. But I'm kind of like this clunky guy with fat fingers, so I don't really do that. But I mean, it also is easier to do when it's freshly out of the water. And I did this at home, and then I came here, so it's not freshly out. It's freshly out of the water, but it's all cold. It's all room temperature now. So yeah, so I rinsed it twice in fresh water, and then I boiled it 3 times in fresh water, starting with cold water. Um, You can, yeah. There's like the way I learned it was like, this is so baller too. It was like at a Italian restaurant, we would soak it in milk, and then we would like soak it in more milk. And I'm like, it made me it. I'm like, this cuisine stresses me out. Like, I'm like, we're just gonna throw all this milk away. They're like, yeah, throw the milk away. I'm like, you want me to throw this away? They're like, yes. I'm like a broke ass cook that can't afford milk, and I'm like, I'm like, you got money for milk, but you don't got money for me. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's crazy. That's to me like, I think if you guys are kind of like have like ethnographer vibes, like play around with it. Like do like a version of it with the milk technique. Do a version of it with the water technique. I prefer this way, honestly, because like this way to me is like, it's more real and it keeps it more pure. The milk kind of like adds its own thing to it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, milk doesn't really have flavor, right? But it like, it changes it. And I'm kind of a little bit more of a purist. I worked so like my big experience that I had in the Bay Area was working for a bunch of Chez Panisse alumni chefs. So I worked for a bunch of chefs that were Alice Waters chefs. So like all of my techniques are like driven by like technique and deliberateness. Chez Panisse, Alice Waters is like this badass hippie lady that like opened one of the best restaurants in America, and like she's just like a straight G. And that's like, after you work for her, you probably won't soak salt cod in milk, because you're like, it's just, everything is like so deliberate and practical. But I mean, depending on what you're making, might make sense. For this dish, I don't think it would make sense, but it really just depends on that. So we're gonna like flake this fish. You guys are gonna be eating here pretty soon, because a lot of the meat of what we're doing is almost done. The hard part. But yeah, again, this fish actually does have bone in it, but it's so they're so brittle, and you can kind of eat through it. They're not like they're not offensive. I think when I say that, it probably stresses people out, but you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's not. It's like tiny, tiny, tiny little bones that are kind of like not really bones anymore. Do you guys have this in Portland? Do you guys have like a cool salt cod salad somewhere? Oh shit! So I'm giving. How many people have had this before? How many people have salt cod salad before? You one? Yeah. All right. One salt cod salad eater. All right, that's good. Now I have a person that can be like, this is terrible. I hate this salt cod. No, I love it. I love it so much. I think whenever you like something, there's a little bit more pride involved, so it's harder to mess it up. So that's like our trick with getting our cooks to care, is try to make them cook food that they actually like. So sometimes I'll change my menu when I have new cooks, learn about them, learn about what they like, and try to cook food that they like. Because apparently, what I like doesn't matter. So, all right. I don't want to use this towel. All right. So we're just gonna get under here and just move this around. I'm not really looking to get color on this. I'm just like, I just need to blend that flavor with this flavor, but there's a lot going on in there. So I'm just gonna like start by getting this warm, and then I'm gonna like put it in here, blend the flavors together, taste it for seasoning, add more acidity if it needs it, add more salt if it needs it. And then we're going to cut these tomatoes and this cucumber and plate them. And then this is going to kind of get spooned over the top. And then we're going to garnish it with some beautiful cilantro sprouts. And then we'll cut up some bread so you guys can kind of just like enjoy it. But yeah, it's a really simple dish that I'm obsessed with. That probably makes me seem like basic, but I'm okay with that. Yeah, so this, we'll just get this a little hot and then we'll mix it all together. It's crazy because like when we first put this on the menu, nobody cared. Now it's like, it's popping. It used to be like what chefs got and what like Caribbean people got, but now everyone's ordering the salad. So that's like the moment when you're a chef, like when your popular dish is not like a sandwich, you're like happy, you know? Like it's like a good, it's like you're like, yeah, I made it. So, all right, let's go right in here. Cook this in a little bit. Flip this plate over and use it as a trivet. Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna, you guys have questions so far? No questions. All right. Easy crowd. Every island has their own version. So my favorite version that I like to make is the Trinidadian version. My family's from Grenada and Puerto Rico, but there's a Puerto Rican version, there's a Grenadian version, Jamaican version. My wife makes the Jamaican version, which is like has like more tomato in it. It's more tomatoey, but they all follow kind of like the core practice of like there has to be onion, garlic, thyme, hot pepper, sweet pepper, salt, acidity, and like from there it's kind of like some people put allspice in it. For me, I just want it to, I'm like trying to show off by making something really simple, keep it really simple, and then you're like, how did you do that, like with it being so simple, you know? Like I don't want to like be the guy that's like adding all these crazy ingredients and I'm like, look at that. I want it to just be like really simple, but then it like punches above its weight class. So now we'll kind of like mix it all together and taste it. Ugh. Again, that's like some chez panisse shit. Like they'll be like, I don't know, little gem salad, and you're like, this little gem salad is perfect, and it's just simple, you know. I worked at some Michelin restaurants when I lived in San Francisco, so I have like that kind of experience too. But I just, as I got older, I was just less attracted to that type of cooking because it just seemed very like immature, and more like about me and less about the food. And so I like pick the dark side. I think as a chef you have to pick a side. This is like recorded, so I'm sure Michelin chefs are going to be pissed at me, but like to me, like there's a side that you pick in the food world where you're like, do I want to be like, do I want to cook for people that I would hang out with, or do I want to cook for people that I would hang out with? And I want to cook for people that I would hang out with. So I picked like less pretentious. We still make things remarkable, but it's just a little bit more fun and like approachable, and I get to feed people that I would probably hang out with on a day-to-day basis. So it's a little bit more, it feels meaningful for me. I think that being said, I'll probably do some crazy fancy shit at some point because we're like, we have that demand for that, and we're more popular now, so it seems like that would work. But right, what do you mean?
Like an example of that dish.
This like fancy?
Like a fancy something.
Oh, like a fancy dish? I mean, you can make any dish fancy. You can make this fancy if you want to. You can make, that's what these chefs are doing. They're not like making, like, they're like making simple things fancy. They're not like making, like, that's what they're doing. You can make this dish super fancy, you know, but cutting it like very small and precise, quenelling it on the plate, you know, like making tuile out of this by like shaving it paper thin and like baking it on aluminum and making it like beautiful. But the reality is, to me, it's so silly because then there's waste. There's like all these other things behind the scenes that you just don't see. Like there's like, you're wasting this, you're stressing out like a 19-year-old kid that doesn't even know how to wipe his butt. You know what I mean? It's like, it's this weird, like, you know, that's just what you guys don't, I've done it. So I know what it looks like, you know what I mean? And it's like, to me, that's like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to be like, Trevor, what are you doing, bro? Like, I'm like, I don't, like, right now my life is simple. Right now I can be like, can you help me showcase black food? And my cooks look at me and they're like, yes. And then when they do a bad job, I'm like, you're doing a bad job showcasing black food. Like, let's go. Like, let's make this good, right? But if I had a fancy restaurant, I'd have to stress out servers. I'd have to stress out kitchen staff. I'd have to stress out whoever's running the bar if the bar isn't being run efficiently. And right now our concept is casual. The food is really good, and I'm happy and healthy-ish. So, all right, we'll try this now. It's kind of salty. All right, we'll add. Needs more like fat. More fat, more acid. Yeah.
So when you were talking earlier about wanting to snack while you're cooking, my first thought was you must be saying that because maybe it'll slow down your cooking process.
Yeah, more deliberate. Yeah.
But then you were talking about how you wanted your food to be neutral and factors that were unsolved.
Yeah.
So is that because I've learned I never was very good at cooking, but I tried to cook a bit more, and it's really important, I found, just to slow it down and not rush.
Yeah, you want to slow it down. I mean, 100%. You want to slow it down. You want to, like, whatever you're doing, you want to be practical. Like, it's not like everyone is like, I'm like thinking about this at the same time. I think, no, it's okay. Everyone's like, our goals are different. My goal is to impress people and kind of like show off what they might not be able to do at home and like force them to come to the restaurant. So there's like a little bit more refining involved at the restaurant where we're trying to like refine it in a way where you're like, maybe you can't make this at home. At home, your goal is to make food the way you want it. So it's like kind of crazy because it's like the sky is the limit. You can cook better than a chef at home. People just don't believe that. My skill is actually in volume. Like I can outcook you in volume. I can't outcook how you like to eat at home. It's just not possible. The reality is it's like the Matrix. You don't think you can outcook a chef, so you will never be able to. It's a mindset. If you can impress yourself with your food, that's all that matters. You don't need to like be better than a chef. Like the only thing I can do better than you is I can do it in volume. Like if you showed me your favorite dish, I can do your favorite dish the same day in volume. Like just like that. That's my skill. And also in managing a team, in coaching a team, bringing people on, and being like I'm very good at like the boot camp part. The first 4 weeks of working with me is insane. It's like I go from micromanaging to being your best friend to hating you to being your brother-in-law to being your, it's like crazy. It's like a roller coaster. If you have the kind of personality where you beat yourself up, I don't manage you because I don't have to. But if you have the kind of personality where you're kind of like, I don't know what to tell you, chef, I'm like your worst enemy, you know? And the reality is like at home, you can outcook anyone. You're the chef. You know what you like. You know what you don't like. People choose to like make food so much more scary and more complicated than it needs to be. And it gives me a job. I'm very happy that you guys complicate it. I'll be doing this for a very long time. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this tomato in half. Salt cod salad's a little too salty, but we'll still make it yummy. What we'll probably end up doing is we'll probably end up just putting more of this and less of that. Still really good though. All right, so we'll cut this. I just cut them in half and I take the core out. Boom. Boom, and we'll do the same thing here. I like cutting my tomatoes kind of in this weird abstract way, which is going to be contradicting to what I'm going to say next because I want it to look kind of like a tomato. So we kind of like cut like kind of like weird shapes. I cut my heirloom tomatoes intentionally small so they actually get seasoned because they're like, to me, heirloom tomatoes aren't very good. I'm sorry, like I don't want to like argue with anyone. Like I don't think they taste very good. Sungolds, amazing. Heirlooms taste like water and like tastes like tomato water. It's like not very good. So what my goal is like I'm gonna have to be able to season this. And how do I season it? like I need more surface area to season. So it's kind of like, again, all my food is practical like that. Nothing is tricky, nothing is weird. We're kind of cutting it in like weird little shapes. This is a good example of what I don't want on a plate, just because it's harder to season. So there's more in there that I can't get to. So I'll just cut it one more time again, and that's kind of my little weird little TED talk on tomatoes. We'll just cut it kind of like funky shapes. My favorite tomato is the Sungold, an early girl. Sungold, early girl. There's some weird dry farm varieties of heirloom tomatoes where farmers were just trying to make a point. Those are really good. But like your standard like heirloom tomato, I'll tell you what, they're the most beautiful tomato. They're really beautiful. And I think that's why consumers are like, this is yummy. Look at it. It's so yummy, right? I'm like, no, it's not yummy, dude. Like, you're tripping. You're crazy. It's not a yummy tomato. It's terrible. It's actually really bad. It's a bad tomato. But, you know, it's pretty. I mean, right? Look at it. It's beautiful. And I think that's like half of it. Like, it being beautiful is kind of a big part of it. And then we'll do that again with this. And yeah, these are actually tomatoes that I'm obsessed with. Tastes like fruit. It's crazy. It's also like early season tomatoes, so it's easy for me to like talk in a way where it's so absolute. There are some like farmers that are really good at what they do that make heirloom tomatoes taste good. I'm just like have yet to have had that version of it, you know. So yeah, we'll just cut this up. And this is kind of how we do it at the restaurant. We just like we put it on a plate and we kind of like flake this over like dressing over the top. We'll just cut these in half. I like cutting it in half like from top to bottom so the seeds stay inside. If you cut it, some people like cutting it like this way. And it's just like, I don't know, I'm brainwashed. I worked for too many chefs that made me feel bad about cutting it that way. So there's a lot of tricks though. And at home, you're the chef. Hopefully what people take away from this is that STEELPORT knives are awesome. And also you can cook better than a chef if you want to at home. Like, it's very possible, you know. I've had probably here in Oregon, I've probably had better meals in like regular people's houses than I've had at chefs' houses. Like, now in the Bay, everybody was a chef. Like, I'm serious. It was crazy. And like, I used to be a chef. I'm an architect now. I'm like, you throw down. You know what I mean? It was crazy. It was like a lot of vibes like that. So you were not out cooking your cousin or your brother's friend or whatever. It was like everybody was a chef in Bay. So this cut is a simple cut called an oblique. It makes it so that when you have something round, it's uniform. I think people have a really hard time cutting this cut. For some weird reason, again, it's like when you like make chefs bigger than they actually are. It's really simple. I'm going to do this one fast. I'm going to do this one fast. And I'm going to do the last two slow so you can see it. But I'm just kind of rolling the cucumber and keeping the knife in the same spot. And I'm just kind of cutting it oblique. And I'm not trying to impress you guys. I like oblique. And I cut it really fast. And everything I defer to will always be for speed because I'm in a restaurant setting and it has to be fast. People are hungry. They're like, I want my food right now. It needs to be fast. And so we'll cut this oblique. My guys, it takes them like a week to get good at this cut. I'm like, why?
It's a good example using the tip of the knife because the tip of the knife rarely gets used.
Yeah. Boom, boom. That's a good point too. All right. Boom. Yeah, I think with the tomato, and then these ones I'll cut slower so you guys can get good at it. And again, too, like I think it's more of my generation thing, millennials, and the younger generation. They're like so afraid of being bad at something, and I think it's like that with home cooks too. Like everyone's so afraid of like messing something up and being bad at it. And the reality is like I failed. Like we had some crazy shit happen a couple years ago. We got put on James Beard list, and then we got like New York Times top 50 restaurants in America. And I was like the worst line cook in like the first 3 restaurants I worked at, and I just didn't give up. And then eventually I became the sous chef at a James Beard restaurant in San Francisco, and then I like worked for another chef and consulted with other chefs that were winning awards, writing all their recipes. And like the reality is like I went from like nothing to like decent. And so it's like if you have the like mindset, you can do it. You just can't give up. Like you guys don't look like quitters. You like drove all the way out here to hear me talk. So, but the reality is like if you mess this cut up, just keep hitting it, you know? Like I want you guys to do this cut one day and tag Yardy Rum Bar. All right. So, we're going to cut slow. The first cut is not oblique always. And then you roll it until the flesh side is up, and then you cut. And then you roll it, and then you cut. Cut, cut, cut. It's, in my opinion, easier to do it fast because if you don't, you'll overthink it. I'm almost like giving it a quarter turn every time. Quarter turn, quarter turn. For us little genius people out there, they're like, I can remember a quarter turn. That might confuse people like me that are not geniuses. But
Was that first cut at an angle?
yep, the first cut is like this, so it's not necessarily oblique. And then we roll it, quarter, quarter, quarter. I'm like kind of going too fast. Are you guys having fun? Do you guys feel like you're learning? Am I a good chef maybe? I felt like when you guys came in, you were skeptical. You're like, look at this young black man. What does he know about cooking? I like to wow people sometimes. All right, boom. We'll throw that in there. And then it's almost like I knew this was gonna happen. So we're gonna throw this in this bowl, and then we're just gonna lightly season it with salt cod. So you guys are not gonna get the luscious version of it because I over seasoned the salt cod a little bit, but we'll get all that juice, that yummy juice. And then we'll go like that. See what that's like. The thing about this dish that's hilarious is that it costs the restaurant a lot of money, but the tradition with this dish is that you're just eating a lot of salt cod. But like now that salt cod is expensive, when you go to places, it's like all potato. You're like, I like salt cod. It's like a potato fritter because it's expensive. Like it's not because the chef's trying to like take advantage. It's just because now it's expensive now. So, but yeah, this looks good. Yeah. Okay. Now it's time for another bite. Yeah. Okay. Feel like I could have broke the salt cod up more too. I know. It's like the story of my life. She literally would have not let me do it. She would have just been in the corner breaking it up while we were talking. The way I would think about it is it's like the salt cod is almost like acting as salt. And because I didn't break it up small, it's like large pieces of salt. So, but it's still yummy. It also needs more acid, and I didn't bring enough citrus. Should have brought way more citrus next time. You guys are still probably gonna love it though. It's simple, but it's good. Okay. Nice. Probably do a little tiny bit more of this juice. Boom. And then a tiny bit more of the salt cod. Okay. And I like serving it cold. So traditionally it's supposed to be served cold. You can have it warm too, but they'll put it in like fried bread. Okay. All right. Use a spatula. Plate one. We'll make it all pretty. Put this behind me. And then I got, oh, my little plate is right. Oh, boom. And then lastly, we'll cut up this bread. I like cutting it oblique just because it's like, I don't know, it's like feels luscious. I think the trick with cutting bread too is kind of like pressing it down a little bit if it can handle it. Just because then you get like a little bit of a, I don't know, little surface to have it bite off of. But yeah, we'll go. We'll let you guys kind of build your own once we're at that point. Plate one. Mike, which did I put this one in my mouth? Yeah. This is the one I didn't put in my mouth? Ah, oh, god damn it. All right. No, I think that's gross. So I'm not going to do that. That's why I brought a bunch of gloves though. I always try to, like, when we're cooking at the restaurant, not like put something in your mouth and then put it back in your tool bane. But I think because I'm nervous in front of a bunch of cool people, I'm like being silly. So we'll like go like boom, boom. Boom. Maybe get some pepper in there. All right. Some more cucumber. Boom. Okay. And then we'll go little micros. It's simple and it's yummy. Little simple yummy thing.
So that's the example to follow.
Yep. All right. Everyone played it now. What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm trying my best, chef. This is boot camp. Just cilantro sprouts. They're like, it's like so good, so perfect, and simple, and they're like, if you're like one of those soapy cilantro people, it doesn't really taste soapy. It's just like watery almost. Not it's weird because I think people are obsessed with sprouts. I don't think they have flavor, so I like fight it. I've been fighting it for so long. Like the customers want, and I'm like, I'll put sprouts, whatever you want, flowers, whatever. But I don't like adding garnish that doesn't add to the dish. This adds to it subtly, so it kind of works. But I could also wash the spoons because I kind of want them to serve themselves because I already did all the hard work. Come on, guys. I'm gonna make it like more oily and then plate it right here. Yeah.
So I guess we're getting to near the end of the demo. Amazing job, chef. So
Thank
this
you.
is start with the clap.
Thank you.
I personally really enjoyed these sessions because not only we learn something about the food, and for people who are here, sorry for being online, we get a chance to sample, but also we hear a little bit more of the history, why it came, where it's was questions to some of the answers to some of the questions that we might have. So, I think most of you guys have heard of the chef's restaurant down in Eugene, obviously Yardy Rum Bar. And hopefully we see that expanding to new restaurants and things like that. So as Chef already mentioned, and Gordon audience kind of forwarded me the New York Times mention of it. It's one of the few top 50 restaurants in the U.S. So it's great to be here with Chef Isaiah Martinez. But also as I let Chef continue kind of working on the knife skills there. But it was kind of just remembered I was talking to Emma here, and the New York Times just had a top 20 Portland chefs list type thing, and the 12 of them are STEELPORT users, which was really got me excited. So I told our marketing people that hey, we should advertise and put it on a newsletter that we are very extremely impressed by the 8 that we were able to achieve that level of acknowledgement without a good knife, with a great knife. So didn't quite mess up, but we had Ryan from Another Guru won this year's James Award. Award, and I think in a year or two we will stand here and celebrating Chef Isaiah's next award and cookbook,
We'll
hopefully
see.
coming up,
Yeah.
maybe. Type thing. Any final questions before we wrap up here, as getting into close to tabling here?
How sharp was that knife, Chef?
I was before you guys got here. I was like, I don't want to cut my finger off like Mario Batali. So, but he made sure it was that sharp anyway. So, it's sharp. It's sharp. Yeah, it's the so I'm like going through this era in my life. Like I'm 34 and I'm going through this era of like artisan. And like I'm gonna go off topic a little bit, but I'm starting to realize like there's like this surgence in things just being done right, and I feel like there's multiple, like it happens over and over and over again. It's not like this is the first time, like, but it's the first time for me because I'm 34. But it's like there's like this I shoot pistol competitions, which is kind of weird, but you just shoot targets. It's very nerdy. It's not what people think. It's little targets, and and it's all time. And one of my pistols just got redone by a master gunsmith in Reedsport. And what he does is he polishes and he does all this crazy stuff. And on my drive back, I was thinking about my STEELPORT knife. It's like really one of those things where it's like artisan. It's like done the right way once. You don't have to think about it again. You don't have to do all these weird little things. You don't have to buy more knives. You don't have to spend the same money you probably would have spent if you just did it the right way the first time. And it's weird because we're like living in this world now where we do have to do that, where we do buy like a t-shirt or pants that it's like, 96% cotton, 4% elastic or 3 or whatever. And then you wash it a couple times, you have a hole in like the crotch area, or you know what I mean? And it's like this, it's like, that's the world we live in. So, you got STEELPORT, you got, I wear baller denim, like my denim, like everything I do is like, do it the right way the first time. Like, don't buy like 30 pairs of cheap pants. Just buy one that's kind of expensive, but I've had these pants for 8 years. I'm serious. I'm not even trying to sell you on pants. I'm just saying, like, do it the right way the first time, like do it the right way the first time, and it's weird because it's like, it's corny because it's like, I'm like, oh, artisan, but it's just true. Like, there's people that are doing things the right way, and there's STEELPORT, like they're doing it the right. It's like, it's perfect. Like, why would you buy, hopefully they bleep this out, but why would you buy like a Wusthof or like a shitty knife when you could just buy like a really good knife once, and then you have a set, and then you introduce that ideology to your weird friends that love their Wusthof knives. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm just saying. And I'm probably dogging somebody in this room that has a Wusthof, and I'm sorry. I'll shut up. I'm sorry, but I'm like, I've had a Wusthof. I've had a Mercer. I've had a Wusthof. I've had a Global. I'm a chef, and I use a knife every single day of my life. So, it's kind of like, I think most of us do. I think most of us, whether it's a pocket knife for cutting open boxes, or a chef knife to prepare a dish, or a bread knife to cut bread, it's, the reality is we all use knives every day. Why would we cheap out on that? Why would we go on Amazon and buy a $30 knife that, you hate? I don't know. To me, like, you don't even have to tell me to say something about this knife. I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, I told my wife can't use this knife, so I have to buy another one.
But she needs something to cook your favorite food. I mean,
no, she uses like her, her spoon and her butter knife. She's got like those. She's got those crazy skills. She's got those like naturalized citizen skills that I don't have.
Thank you so much, Chef. So again, thank you again. Right, so Chef is going to show us how to plate. We have the paper boats there. Feel free to serve yourself. The spoons are back here, so it's going to be placed on that. Grab your samples. We have our great sharpener back there, Nate, that will be about in 5 minutes if you want to see kind of a demo of honing rod, how to use honing rod. We have a lifetime warranty and lifetime free sharpening on all of our knives. But we really encourage everybody to take care of their knives because we want this. This is an heirloom product. We want it to last for a long time. And some of the best thing for the edges is just honing, keeping it dry, and things like that. So any questions you have, we can answer that. With that, we're done. Thank you.